Kia ora and welcome to Cinema in Context, where we discuss all things film and the connections between. My name is Jeremy Downing.
I'm William Chen.
And I'm Sarah Watt.
Each month at Cinema in Context, we discuss two films, one current and one retrospective, with some connection. It could be the same director, or the same director. Oh, wait. Same actor or similar theme, as alluded to. This month we are discussing two films by the same director. Rian Johnson, the first film of his oeuvre, Brick, which came out in 2005. What's that, 30 years ago? Mm-hmm. Oh, 20 years ago. 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. I can do maths. 20 years ago. And Wake Up Dead Man, which came out at the end of 2025 on Netflix, the third in the Knives Out series. Please be warned that we will be spoilering both films, and they're both murder mysteries, so there are spoilers to be had. So if you haven't seen either film, pause this episode and come back to it at a future date. I think we may also spoil the other Knives Out films as well.
Yeah.
I guess we'll see how we go. Knives Out series is great, and there's some really lovely surprises. You may want to just be wary of that. All right, Sarah, take us back 20 years ago to a time before Rian Johnson.
Yeah. What? I love how you say that like I'm the only one around the table who might remember, who's old enough to remember. He didn't mean it like that, listeners, don't worry. So Rian Johnson slaved to bring his first film out. He had a budget of $450,000, and spoiler alert, it made $4 million. And it was because it was an unusual film for its time. He took the film noir tropes and conceits and dropped them into an American high school. He cast Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who was already a bit of a dude by then, as his gumshoe, his detective cipher. Joseph Gordon-Levitt plays a guy who goes to this high school. He's got an ex-girlfriend called Emily who turns up dead at the very beginning of the film. And then the story, told in the parlance of a Dashiell Hammett style, as I keep saying, film noir, voiceover, film noir kind of, I know I keep using foreign words, but like the argot, the slang, the language of those novels is what Rian Johnson cleverly uses as the dialogue for his film. So you've got a high school setting, you've got high school characters, but each of them are easily identifiable as the various tropes from a detective mystery. And basically, Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character has to find out who murdered his ex-girlfriend and why.
What was that, William?
Hell damn it.
Yeah.
William, give us a bit of an overview of the third Knives Out film, Wake Up Dead Man.
Alrighty, so Rian Johnson has been pretty chummy with Netflix for the last couple of years, having Poker Face and the Knives Out series. And this, the latest in the Benoit Blanc mysteries, has our famous detective, played by James Bond himself, Daniel Craig, head into upstate New York to investigate a murder of a Monsignor, where the congregation might all be in on it. We have a bunch of eccentric characters, as often these Knives Out movies, played by very, very famous actors, both blockbuster and character. And he's once again joined by a POV character of sorts, a Watson to his Holmes, this time played by Josh O'Connor as Father Judd, in this very, very interesting scaled-down version of a Knives Out movie, I think. It mostly takes place in one location, as opposed to Glass Onion, which got really expensive and very broad. And it becomes a kind of investigation into the fun of locked room mysteries, as well as, funnily enough, the power of faith.
Nice. And one thing that really struck me when I watched this third one was part of the formula of these movies is that the Watson to his Holmes, as you kind of allude to, is also the person that's the biggest suspect in the murder.
Yes.
And I didn't really realise that until classic rule of threes, right? And
Yeah.
it's like, of course, because you had Anna, what's her name for the first?
Ana de Armas.
Ana de Armas. You had Janelle Monáe from the second one, and then of course you have Josh O'Connor in this one.
And that's our first point of connection with Brick, is that Joseph Gordon... I can't remember his character's name.
Brendan. Last night I kept thinking it was called Theo. I think it was sleep deprived.
Right. So yeah, the Brendan in Brick is also... he's the number one suspect when except obviously for those who know that they were involved and that they did it. But yeah, that's the same thing.
Well, I think not to beat around the bush, but basically the connecting tissue is of course Noah Segan, who's in every single one of Rian Johnson's movies, and every time he pops up I'm like, oh, there he is.
Jeremy's looking perplexed here. So Noah Segan plays the bartender in the latest Knives Out movie. Blink and you'd miss him.
Yeah, I did miss him.
He plays the funny roommate. He plays the roommate in Glass Onion, who literally walks through the back of frame a couple of times going, hey guys, can I come along? And they're like, no. And that's him. I don't remember.
He's a detective in the first one.
He's a detective in the first one, and he's in Brick.
He's Dode, the druggie.
The druggy ex-boyfriend-y...
The one that throws a tantrum and then gets shot.
Yeah.
Okay, spoilers.
Yeah.
Nice. Can I tell you my experience of watching Brick?
Please. Was this your first time?
No.
Okay, yeah.
So, throwback to 2005. I do remember 2005, Sarah.
Good.
It was my first year at university. The film must have come out in New Zealand in 2006.
Yeah,
I think it did.
Because I was working at the Embassy Theatre. I've talked about this a lot on this podcast. And back then there was a Rialto cinema in Wellington, which sadly we lost in 2010 or something. And I think it was such a loss to Wellington's cinema landscape. Anyways, it was near the waterfront. It was this great little pokey kind of collection of, I guess, office buildings, and they sort of pocketed a Rialto cinema in there. Did either of you ever get to it?
No.
Back in the day?
I don't remember.
Because I remember going, again, sorry, flashback. When I was in my year 13 year at high school, we went to Wellington for the Shakespeare competition, and I went and saw this little film called Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind here, in a packed theatre.
Wow.
Blew my mind. Anyways, when I worked at the Embassy Theatre, it was owned by the same parent company. We got free tickets that we could use at the Embassy or Rialto. And so a group of us went along and watched this new movie, Brick. And it had this really striking poster. It was blue with, is Emily, what's her name?
Emily de Ravin?
Yes, from
your
Lost.
mate, Lost.
Yeah, from Lost. I know well, as Claire from Lost. But her kind of hand with the bracelet in the water. And
it's a great poster.
Very enigmatic and a great kind of capturing the tone of the film. And I really, really enjoyed it. I remember the film noirness of it actually went over my head back then. But I remember there being something really quirky and something very what's the word I'm looking for? There was a style about Rian Johnson out the gate.
Yes.
He kind of set himself up. And I remember really being interested in his work and then thinking, okay, Brothers Bloom is coming up. Brothers Bloom is coming up. And then it kind of had no attention, Brothers Bloom. And I've still never seen it. It's the one of his movies I've never seen. And I kind of think, wow, I was such a big fan of his back then, apparently.
I saw it. I remember nothing about it other than the fact that Adrian Brody and Mark Ruffalo
Rachel Weisz
were good performers in it, but it really, I mean, it wasn't a huge hit, and it wasn't considered to be anything special. I think it is one for the Rian Johnson aficionados, because you would definitely, as you keep saying, William, about connective tissue, there's plenty of that. But Brothers Bloom is not considered to be a particularly noteworthy film.
This might surprise you guys, but I saw Brothers Bloom
on a plane.
And I'm not joking when I say sometimes I get it mixed up in my head with the Brothers Grimm.
Yes, so do I.
Terry Gilliam movie.
So do I.
I forgot that movie existed. Was it Heath Ledger and someone else? Jude Law?
Gyllenhaal? I don't remember.
One of the above.
Yeah.
There's that one with that Terry Gilliam movie where there's four of them.
It's Matt Damon, right?
Is
Oh,
it?
yeah.
Oh, yeah. Was it the last Gilliam film, the last Ledger film, where there's four of them playing the same character?
Oh, the Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus.
I quite like that movie. Anyway, sorry, carry on. Yeah, Brothers Bloom.
Yeah. I think Brick is an interesting notion. For me, I first watched... here's my Brick story.
Go for it.
I was working in Auckland Central Libraries as a librarian back... around the same time, actually. And so when
it's funny how movie releases happen like that, eh? They seem to happen at the same time for most places.
So this must have been around 2007, 2008. It came out on DVD, and one of the perks of being a librarian is you get free DVD and CD rental. And
His
so,
story's not as cool as yours, Jeremy, I have to say.
Wait, Sarah, did you not hear me? Free DVD and CD rentals.
I'd rather work at the embassy, but okay, yeah.
And so I had known of Brick, borrowed it, and the only thing I remember about it, and when it popped up again on this rewatch, I was like, oh yeah, that's the only thing I remember about it, was the fact that the femme fatale character starts quoting Gilbert and Sullivan at the party. She sings the Mikado. And I remember back then I was a huge theatre nerd.
Wow.
Oh, that's the Mikado.
Yeah, that's fun.
Back then you were a huge theatre
Oh,
nerd.
Yeah. Back then he was a bird.
Are we all theatre nerds
Yeah.
around this table?
We are.
Oh, yeah, nice. What was your experience with Brick, Sarah?
I don't remember at all. I don't remember. I knew I was living in London at the time. I will have seen it there. I don't remember anything specific or particularly qualitative other than I knew that I thought it was okay and there was some clever things about it, but I didn't love it. There was something I remember that was not entirely satisfying about it. And I have to say, rewatching it this week, I could barely slog through. And I still give it a 4 out of 5 in terms of my admiration for the way that it's created and stylistically and the dialogue and everything. I think it's terribly well done and terribly clever, but I don't really enjoy it and I'm not that interested the second time round. And so there's something missing for me. And I don't know what it is, but I will say, leaping into his other films like Looper, I love the film Looper, but again, there's something about Looper that keeps it at 4 stars for me rather than 5. And I'm quite a generous voter.
I absolutely agree with you. And
There's
I think
something not there, eh?
Yeah, I think there's just a clarity of maybe emotion or there's a clarity of character that I think sometimes his films can lack. Because that's what loses me in Brick. Like, it's very stylistic, but I kind of lose track of what's actually happening.
Yes.
Like, you kind of don't know. And by the end of
But
it,
it's because it's all blah, blah, blah.
yeah, it's true.
And it's too clever. The dialogue is very, very clever, and the plot is not. That's my feeling on a rewatch of Brick, and actually, that's one of my concerns about the latest Knives Out.
Right.
There are some stunning performances. I think Josh O'Connor is past compare. I just think everything he does with every slither of dialogue is amazing. I think Josh Brolin is incredible. I think Glenn Close is incredible, but super annoying.
Her character's terrible in this movie.
It's
She's brilliant. But
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think
I'm agreeing with everything you're saying. It's
Yeah.
like Josh O'Connor and Josh Brolin, all the Joshes, they are just brilliant in this movie. Josh O'Connor is just electric.
But Jeremy Renner doesn't work for me, and I know that he's post-accident, but he doesn't really work for me.
Oh, what's the accident?
Do you not remember?
He almost died.
He was. It was a Christmas or a New Year a couple of years back, and he got caught
In a snowplow.
in a snowplow and wound up in hospital. And
His entire skull was crushed. It was.
I thought this is going to sound terrible. I thought that was part of the bit that he was doing for the film. But I'm assuming that's just his injury, that he's changed the way he can act.
It may be both. I feel like this is the biggest film he's been in post injury, isn't it? But, so I'm not casting aspersions at all. I simply mean I don't think he was great casting for the character. I don't know. We'll get into this, but I'm not enamored of the casting of Knives Out. I'm not enamored of the casting of Brick. None of those young people.
Not even Lucas Haas is the pin.
Except for Lucas Haas, who's very of his time, the little boy from Witness. You know, he was terrific back then. Joseph's great, but he's just giving it everything. And I don't like any of the girls. I don't like your Emily de Ravin. Emily de Ravin.
I don't love her either. I love Lost, but she's...
And the femme fatale, who does a blimmin' good job, is something I'm just like, nah, doesn't work for me.
It's interesting, because I think about the kind of the 7 films, right? Rian Johnson's made 7 movies, and I think I could say the same criticisms and praises for all of them.
Every single one.
You see, I think the casting of the first Knives Out was exemplary.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I love Toni Collette, so...
Yeah. I thought...
I love her in anything.
Even the Chris. Now, which was it? Was it Chris Evans? Even Chris Evans was terrific.
I only know him as just Captain America. Let's just go by his... Or the Torch.
But Chris Evans, I thought, was really good in that, because prior to that, I'd sort of thought Chris Evans is the one that you don't really remember.
Yeah. Hey, the guy from Cellular.
Yeah, exactly. But Yeah.
What do you think?
I think even with his blockbuster stuff, Looper, I remember enjoying it heaps when I saw it at the movies.
Yeah.
But it's a movie I've completely forgotten about. I
It's
remember
also very complicated.
there was one scene with missing fingers, which was like that sticks in the mind.
See, Emily Blunt sticks in my mind, and
I don't remember Emily Blunt being in it at all.
See, I just remember her. I don't remember
You
the
said
story.
the name, and I thought, oh my gosh, she is in the film.
Yeah.
I remember Bruce Willis is in it because
Yeah.
I thought that the way they did
The
Joseph
word.
and Bruce
Yeah.
to look so I thought that was genius. I don't remember Emily Blunt in it.
Yeah, I do. That's all I remember.
Good
I think about that
Lord.
movie, and I think about Edge of Tomorrow. They sort of seem to come out at the same time.
See,
And,
love that.
yeah.
And then, his big Star Wars, like, obviously it's the most contentious movie in the
Yeah,
history
you
of
love
movies.
so they love it or hate it. I
Yeah.
love that movie. I love
Which
that
one
Star
is he?
Wars.
Rogue One.
No,
No.
so The Last Jedi.
Oh
the
yeah.
one
One with
that,
Luke. When
Is he
Luke
the one with
Skywalker
Daisy
comes back.
Ridley?
Well, he's
Or-
the second. It's the second Daisy Ridley one with Luke Skywalker with the blue milk juice stuff.
Yeah.
I loved it, but were you I can review
Nah, I was surprised when it became so polarizing, but I just remember being really disappointed coming out of it, thinking like it was A, way too long, and B, didn't quite know what it was going on about. Like it just felt like there were so many story threads that really did not coalesce in a satisfying way by the end of it.
You see, you could be talking about the latest or actually any of the Knives Outs, but particularly the last one when you say what you say.
Okay,
Because there are so many story threads. The fact is, it starts with a story thread, and I felt as though the structure of the first two was more interesting to me. The structure of this one is you've got Josh O'Connor off the bat saying, something's happened here and I need to let you know all about it. And then we find out actually what that's happening midway through the film and he's simply writing it all down. But the fact that Josh O'Connor, before there's even been a murder, is going around talking to each of the individuals and getting their backstories, it's very, very, very wordy. I mean, I don't have an issue with words. Jeez, popcorn and kettle black. But you know what I mean? It's really wordy.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, okay, we need to be paying attention to all of this because this is all going to become motive.
Yeah.
But
Well, I mean, let's continue this Rian Johnson burn track series. So I've talked to you guys before, and the audience as well, of course, about hopefully an annual thing that will continue, which I call Movies with Grandma. And so,
now this is your Taiwanese grandma.
yes, she's going to turn 94.
You should do a
this year.
podcast. You should do a YouTube video channel together.
Oh my gosh, to see her grimace through the dialogue and Knives Out. So when the big denouement comes, it's the parlor scene. And they kept beating around the bush and my grandma was just sitting back going, stop talking. Why are they still talking?
I really enjoyed this latest. I enjoyed this latest one, and I'll tell you why. One, I enjoyed the last two Knives Out. Didn't love them, So they were not like this holy grail of murder mysteries. And I feel like I've engaged in a lot of murder mysteries over the last few years. I'm reading quite a few different book series. I'm sort of a little bit over them.
Since Knives Out, they've come back.
Yeah,
Like
right.
literally, that is suddenly we're getting this rebirth of new Agatha Christie type movies.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But this is novels, right? And these are the series that I've been reading for years. But so I wasn't too worried about the quality of the movie. It was a movie that I watched with my sister and brother-in-law. They were staying with me over New Year's. It was like, let's watch a movie after having some takeaways. And it's kind of the perfect film for that sort of environment of like, let's just throw a film on and watch it.
Yeah.
And so I thoroughly enjoyed it. I didn't have massive expectations. I wasn't needing anything more than what the film gave me. And what I did enjoy about this one over the last two is what you alluded to before, Sarah, I think. That was either Sarah or William, one of you two. It was a scaled back version. I think both of you kind of alluded to it in different ways. It was a little bit more focused, and so I didn't mind that it was a classic, as you said, the locked room kind
Less
of mystery.
hysterical, sort of.
And just like with both Knives Out and The Glass Onion, he's trying to break the genre a bit and subvert the genre, which was the part of the fun of that. But it also, you kind of mess with the formula of a murder mystery, and it doesn't work as well. Whereas this one just felt like a classic kind of murder mystery.
Yeah.
And I was all on board for that. Yeah.
And to be fair, when I did watch it with my grandma, we sat through the entire thing end to end. I thought it was going to be a half, let's finish it tomorrow, but it was engrossing enough that the entire family
But
sat
also,
around.
you watched it in Chinese.
Oh, no, subtitles.
Oh, wait,
Yeah.
so you watched it in English,
Yeah.
but your grandma, who presumably isn't fluent in English, so she was reading the subtitles
Yeah.
and hearing them just
And
going,
that's a
wow,
lot- a
wow,
lot
wow,
of subtitles,
wow.
yes.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, got it.
Yeah. And
I saw it in the cinema. I'm very lucky.
Oh, nice.
Because,
Okay.
What's that?
Well, and I don't know if you know this, but I'm a film reviewer. So, given that it was going to have, I don't know, a limited release, like 2 weeks or something, I saw it in the cinema, which I'm grateful for because A, big screen is nice, and B, the immersion of a 2-hour 27 movie is quite helpful.
Yeah.
Because I'm a terrible pauser.
That's what
terrible.
but I didn't actually feel the length of this movie.
Yeah.
And you know me, I'm like all about short films.
Yeah.
But I felt very engaged. That's not to say it was the greatest thing I've ever seen. Far from it. But yeah, all the things we've said so far really kind of hooked me in.
There was, I don't know. I mean, it's nice that we disagree. No. I didn't mean that as passive aggressively as it sounds. Forgive me. What I mean is Hayden Christian Church. What's his name?
Thomas Hayden Church?
Thomas Hayden Church. There we go. I'm really I find it very challenging when people have three names.
Isn't Hayden Christensen Anakin?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's right.
I don't like sand. It's a second Star Wars reference.
And of course, Thomas Hayden Church was Sandman in Spider-Man. So it all fits together.
And his name is Church.
Yeah.
He's set in a church.
Wow.
I know. So Thomas Hayden Church, I really like him as an actor. Didn't love this particular role. Didn't think it worked with Martha, the Glenn Close character.
But he was cast for a reason, and when it was revealed why why they got Thomas Hayden Church, like, oh, okay,
Why?
Because he looks like Josh Brolin.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
I do think Josh Brolin was made. Can I tell you something? You probably know this already, but one thing I read is that when you might have seen this as well, when Josh Brolin was doing one of those, it was actually called The Homily. So they did a scene where they're shooting him up in the pulpit, and he is giving it all this blah blah blah, and it's silent because what I mean
It's
is
slow motion, right?
No, not slow motion, but there's like voiceover happening. It's part of the description.
Yeah.
So it's part of the B-roll, if you will, of what we're seeing. I don't think that is B-roll. But anyway, apparently he could just say whatever he wanted while he was up there. So he did a bit of Shakespeare and he did a bit of Hamlet or something, didn't he? And then he says in this interview that he looks down into the congregation and he's looking at Andrew Scott,
Yeah, who we've not even mentioned
yet, who's just given him a face like, that's pretty good.
We've got Andrew Scott, Kaylee Spaney,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Kerry Washington are the other three major
who get
players.
nothing to do.
Yeah.
They're just there to add texture to the piece.
And also to have the question mark whether they're a big enough actor. I mean, it's that class. I do like that, right? Because it's that classic thing where, a big actor shows up and you know they're going to be the murderer because they need to have the weight to kind of have that complexity.
And yet he subverts that sort of thing.
Well, all of those actors have, like Kaylee Spaney, Kerry Washington, and Andrew Scott. Any one of those have the complexity of acting chops to be revealed as the villain later on. And so to then have Glenn Close, Cruella de Vil herself, and what's the one she did where she kills the rabbit?
Fatal Attraction.
Fatal Attraction. Have her as the clear villain of the piece,
Yeah.
and then they do the double bluff of
Yeah.
she kind of is, but it's
Yeah.
from a really lovely kind of angle. Is fun, and it only works because you've cast
That's
these
true.
massive actors.
I don't think Kaylee's... I mean, I know she's done great stuff, and I prefer her... I think she's a beautiful, understated actor. I loved her in Civil War. She was terrific in Priscilla, even if I didn't love that film.
An Alien Covenant, Alien.
She's... and
What's it called?
That's right,
Romulus.
Romulus. And so she's great, and I feel as though this film... You need to be a bigger caricature. We've all grown up, I think. I certainly have. William probably has. On the old Agatha Christie films, Maggie Smith and Charlotte Gainsbourg's mum, Jane Birkin, and all those classic kind of films where Diana Rigg, where the characters are big and the acting is even bigger. And these Rian Johnson films tap into that a little bit, which is why you've got Toni Collette, and she gets away with being so over the top in that first Glass Onion. And you have, was it Christopher Plummer?
Yeah, it was, yeah.
He gets away with being all those things. You get Dave Bautista being able to be that big in Glass Onion and so on, This film, I don't know if the actors were smaller. There are no small actors, only small parts. But if the actors felt smaller, but I think maybe they were, but also the characters were not written. Kaylee Spaney's character, I don't remember anything
She
about
plays a cello.
her. Yeah, but
She's a
she had an
cellist.
injury.
a chalice with injury.
But do you know what I mean? That's not like a thing. And also, she looked like herself and da-da-da. Whereas Glenn Close's face and all of the things, she looks like she's just stepped, she's in the Thriller music video or something. I mean, she really does. And Josh O'Connor acts with his face the whole time. And that's why there are beautiful moments where he can go from slightly dry, funny lines to incredibly moving and beautiful and emotional. And I salute Rian Johnson. And Jeremy, you said this at the beginning, that actually... No, you didn't. William said it in your intro about the film. The sort of the meditation on faith, I thought was beautifully handled.
I think it was one of the things as well. Like, as you know, we've all got, I think we've all got some version of faith around this table, and it was really well put together in terms of it didn't shy away from just telling a great story with potential murderers and actual murderers.
It was very honouring of faith.
Yeah, but it was just really well.
It was also
written.
Extremely character based, right? Through the exploration of faith, you get to understand where Benoit is coming from, and also Father Judd, and why this is so important to him. Like, the whole reason he's in this community in the first place is to try and atone for this perceived sin. Well, it is. Sorry, he killed someone.
But also because at the very beginning, when he's having his interview with the sinfully underused Jeffrey Wright.
Oh, you want to talk about big actors? Now there's a big actor. He appears for 2 minutes in the entire movie, and he makes such an impact. Yeah.
But when Judd Duplessis is being interviewed at the very beginning, and they say, "We need you to do blah blah," and he's like, "Hold on, that's no, that's not what Christ would have done, and that's not the way we roll."
Yeah.
It's so resonant for those of us who do have Christian faith that we are used to being lambasted for or criticized for or whatever, to be able to go, yes, that's the essence of it. And it's written into a character study that would traditionally have lots of larger-than-life stereotypes.
Yeah, I agree.
And he's not a stereotype, Judd Duplessis, and of course that's why Josh O'Connor is the best casting for it.
There's two things I want to say. One is the sequences where he's sparring with the two priests are sparring with the confessions outside is amazing. Like when he's talking about masturbating and all that stuff, and I think they punch each other a few times. It's glorious. The other thing is, there's one person in this movie who I really think is just not that great, and that's Mila Kunis.
Well, so it's not much of a role, is it?
Well, I mean, she's
it's
fine.
Like, now we need you to walk in and say, "Hey, why are you still here? We need you looking at the crimes." It's a nothing role.
It is a nothing role, and it's just another big name. I quite like Mila Kunis, but
I like her.
Just herself in that role.
The chap who played the gorgeous fellow with the blue eyes, who plays
Daniel Craig.
No, the other one with the blue eyes, who plays the young fellow who's desperately trying to get into politics. And that is a very funny piece of dialogue when he says, I tried the LGBTQ and I tried the cyclone and I tried the environment and I tried to...
That felt to me extremely Rian Johnson.
Yeah, and that whole bit, he's very good. He was in Respect to You, Good Night to You, Leo Grand. Thanks for Everything, Leo Grand, or whatever, which was that wonderful film with Emma Thompson.
Tuong Fu, Thank You, Julie.
Yeah, I know, it is a bit like that. It's the film where he plays the male escort who has sex with a much older
I think he's in
Emma
the Wheel
Thompson.
of Time series as well.
Oh, possibly.
Or The Rings of Power, one of those very average.
Look, I think he does really well in this with the role that he's given.
Yeah.
Again, I don't think it's quite right. And I think him filming everything on his phone is such a plot conceit.
Yeah.
It really doesn't work in any other way. It looks ridiculous. But what a mixed bag.
Yeah.
This is a curate's egg, this film.
But
good pun. Yeah.
That whole character and every time there's some sort of critique of American culture and politics and kind of the contemporary now, it's something that's always been in Rian Johnson's works, and I think that's why people have such knee-jerk reactions to stuff like Last Jedi, where it brings into stark relief, shall we say, political beliefs that people may or may not
But that
agree
they
with.
don't want in their Star Wars. Is it
Yeah.
that they're
Well,
like,
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
just going to a Star Wars.
that's-
I
and I
don't want to
think-
be preached at about a feeling.
Well, he introduces into that Star Wars film this sort of
Democratization, right?
exactly. That's a perfect word of what the Force is, and then J.J. Abrams reneges on all of that in the last one.
Yeah.
He says, no, it's still a monarchy, and it's just what is going on. You know, with Brick, talking about sparring, one of the strongest scenes that I think the kind of, I don't know if satire is the right word, the parody or the whatever's going on with the genre.
The assistant vice principal.
Yes. When it's like the cop, it's like the
Yeah.
head of the police negotiating with the detective
That's
about not
right.
locking him up. I was like, and it's played so well
know.
by both actors.
It is.
And it's funny, but it's not silly.
Yeah.
And it gets across that genre bending, whatever he's doing with genre in high school. And because a lot of the other stuff when I'm watching it, I'm like, oh man, high school students wish their lives were this interesting.
Yeah.
You know?
And yet, but he said in an interview that when he wrote that film, he realized pretty quickly. I read this interview and I've sent it to you fellas, and some of you were busy last night, but you might not have read it yet. But he says that he goes into an idea with a theme first. And so he wanted to do this kind of noirish thing, and then he dropped it into a high school and found to his pleasure how easily the tropes slip into high school tropes. And I have to say, I love that stuff. I have always, and you should never express your wonderful film ideas and script ideas on a podcast that anyone might listen to, so this is my idea. But I've always wanted to do a version of Macbeth in an office, for example, and someone will go, it's been done, fine. But I've been wanting to do it for like ages. But I love that. I love plonking a genre or a theme or whatever into a completely different setting. And you're absolutely right. That high school principal, he wouldn't have said any of that in real life in a high school situation, but it totally works.
Yeah.
In that scene, and it's the same with the way that the girls act. Yes, they say old-fashioned things, and the way that Brendan talks to Brain, his friend who can get all the information. Tell her I'll be there at 4 p.m. and all that kind of thing. It works, but it's very odd in a good way.
I think watching the scene where he's being interrogated by... I love the joke that it's not the principal, it's the assistant vice principal. Reminded me a lot of... what's that movie? The one where it's kids playing gang... Bugsy Malone.
Do you know, I've written here Bugsy Malone.
Oh,
Because
nice.
a lot of the time during Brick, I thought, this feels like kids playing gangsters.
And I think... I love that. We came to the same conclusion. There's that, except it then plays into the tension of the kids playing gangsters with actual gangsters being gangsters. When the gun comes out, when there's real violence, where there's real repercussions, right? The whole reason Emily is dead. I thought that was really, really well done. Kind of, it's cute until it's not. And the film just keeps playing with the tension between those two extremes.
But it's also still not realistic.
Oh no, it's never realistic.
Like, I mean, kids would not be tuttering about with a kilo, or however many kilos, brick of heroin. Would they?
I don't know.
Not those kids.
Back in 2005, anything could happen.
I also was struck in this viewing by how much spaghetti western plays into the film, and especially with the score. And I remember the score quite vividly from the first viewing, and it's so great that the kind of like I don't even know what it is. It's like some sort of percussional instrument.
And he uses trumpet.
Yeah.
Like a mandolin.
It's Nathan Johnson, his brother.
Right.
I thought it was his cousin.
Oh, okay. Most of his scores, right?
He does all of his scores.
Okay.
That I just love that refrain.
Apart from Star Wars.
Yeah, well, yeah. I may just hope something happens with that John Williams guy.
No. I think he's done work in all of his films.
Did he collaborate with John Williams in Star Wars?
I don't know. I'll look that up. But I did look up Nathan Johnson because I didn't like the score I thought it was clever, but I did not like it from Brick at all. I found it jarring and annoying.
Okay.
And then I thought, Knives Out, this is so much better. It must be a different guy. And realised it was definitely him.
I love the one. I just think that's such a... I love a good score, and I think that's such a memorable refrain, and it works tonally to evoke those genres, but equally the kind of the littleness and the kind of childlikeness of the story. I thought it was really impressive.
You're right, he doesn't do Star Wars. He does everything else. He does Looper, Brothers Grimm, whatever we call it. He did Nightmare Alley, apparently, but that wasn't Rian Johnson, was it? No, that was Guillermo del Toro. Anyway, yeah, sorry.
But yeah, I'm a big fan of that score. I think that's, yeah.
And speaking of spaghetti westernisms, also I think the use of lighting and the use of setting in Brick, or also actually in Wake Up Dead Man. Like obviously it's the same cinematographer.
Yeah.
I have here written down. I don't have here written down. Same cinematographer. Sorry, I'll look it up later. But the use of behind the head halos is really significant, funnily enough, in both movies. Of course, it's much more dramatic in Wake Up Dead Man, where Daniel Craig has that epiphany. And it's almost played as a joke where the sun moves across the stained glass.
Do you think that's on purpose?
Yes, it is. So in that interview...
But do you think they've done it? Did they set that up artificially? Did they film in a real...
Yes, they did it artificially. Because in this interview that I was reading, someone said to him, wow, I really loved how you did that. That was just so serendipitous and amazing. And he said, no, we set that up.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Oh, and then, of course, in Brick, just because they don't have the budget to do that, a lot of it is done in camera, which is very, very impressive. There's that scene where Brendan and the Pin are talking on the beach, and as the scene concludes, you just see the sunset and this beautiful lens flare fill the screen. Like, my gosh, they must have waited a long time and did that over the course of several days to get those shots. Very, very cool.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the strengths of that movie, is it? Like, I think that's what I alluded to at the start.
Sorry, Jeremy. The guy's name is Steve Yedlin.
Well, I mean, like, the filming, all of the filmmaking elements of that. I mean, the whole movie, there's a lot of things in there that really set the tone. And I totally agree that there's elements of it that don't work. But as a debut film, it really did just kind of establish him.
But did you like it on a rewatch? Did you find it interesting? Engaging?
I was doing something at the other same time.
I was too. I don't normally
around on my phone.
I don't normally double screen, but I did.
Yeah, I'm the same.
I was like, I need to refresh my memory on it.
It's just a bit boring.
This is a sin. I found it a bit boring.
Oh my gosh. I had just come back from a rowing camp. My brain was fried, and I was playing with Lego.
No, but that's different. Playing with Lego is actually different from being on our phones. That's worse. Lego's better.
We are both cinema purists, aren't we? And we've broken the code. I'm sorry, listeners.
And I feel a bit bad about that as well. But I just needed to refresh my memory.
This is the Sarah who, when we're in a cinema, she's amazing, by the way. She will, like, there is like a machine gun quality to her shush that people are talking. And we went to the cinema this week to see Bone Temple. And there was somebody shuffling behind us, and I saw the quick whip of the head back for you to investigate what was this shuffling. And
But I didn't shush anybody.
No, you didn't, but you were building up for it. I think they were shuffling, and you're thinking, if that shuffling continues...
Well, do you know, I will just say, as an aside, I have a real problem with my hearing, particularly in these massive Dolby surround sound kind of, feel the cinema experiences. Sometimes I will shush people, and it ain't people talking in the cinema. It's something in the surround sound. And I'm like getting really frustrated and looking around and glaring at people who are like, what? And I'm like, this is intolerable. And then I realize, oh shit, I think that might be background actors talking in the actual film.
Wow.
So I have to be a bit careful. But yes, you're absolutely right. Normally I am, of course, and particularly in the cinema, we're not double screening, we're not nothing-ing,
Anyways, I was the same. Hey, should we do final thoughts? Who wants to kick us off? William, do you want to jump in?
Yeah, sure. Wake Up Dead Man was a lot of fun. Slightly too long and wordy, especially for my grandma. But I would say probably... No, I think I like the first Knives Out more than this one. Not a huge fan of Glass Onion. I think that was way too ambitious for it.
But I liked it on a rewatch.
You did? Okay.
Glass Onion. But yeah, I agree with you on the first one.
Yeah. What got me was like the clarity of the acting from Josh O'Connor and really Josh Brolin. I thought he was great.
Yeah.
And it reminded me of his role in Weapons and what different characters these are. And he inhabits both with such confidence. Like, he's a great actor.
And Sicario, everything.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not here to go
and
through
Avengers.
Yeah.
You know what?
Yeah.
I watched Goonies for the first time at the end of last year.
No.
Yeah. Josh is really good at it.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's such a good film, eh?
It is. It is.
Yeah. Do you watch Stranger Things?
No.
Oh, okay. There's literally this Goonies references through the whole thing. In
Oh,
this
I
latest
bet.
season, the final season, there's the sequence where they pull all the pipes. Mm-hmm. There's like a reference to that
Oh,
in season
man.
5 of Stranger Things. I was like, wow, they're really mining the Goonies for every part of it.
And then Brick, pretty interesting as a rewatch. Like you guys, I was just really tired and not really in the mood for a slow neo-noir. By the time I finished it this morning, it was much better than I watched it last night. There was a lot of good going for it. As you say, for a debut feature, this thing's awesome for such a low budget.
I agree.
The angles that Rian Johnson loves to do, like his compositions, someone steps into frame from one end and steps out of frame in a completely different angle. Stuff like that is just so much fun.
It is.
It screams like film school. You know, this is just trying new things and experimenting. The mystery itself is kind of boring. But that's okay. That's not what the film is really about. It's the hardboiled detectiveness and the patois and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So for that was pretty fun.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, I think I've said everything I've had to say about both movies, but Brick, it's one that I was thinking as we were getting ready for this episode. I've seen Brick recently, and by recently, last couple of years. And I was watching it, and it got to a certain point. I was like, I must have turned this off because I don't remember any of this.
Yeah.
I remember the first, say, 30 minutes very well. So it's not a film that I'm going to race back to watch anytime soon. And you just kind of said it, William. Like the actual murder mystery is not only is it boring, but I'm still not 100% sure what actually happened because I didn't care enough about the characters.
Yes.
I'm not going to race to it. Wake Up Dead Man was by no means the greatest thing I've ever seen, but it was like I said, a really worthy, summary movie watching experience. I do think Rian Johnson has yet to make his big film. I think about Guillermo del Toro. We've already mentioned him in this podcast. It took a while for him to make Pan's Labyrinth, and he's never really made a film of that caliber again because I did not enjoy Shape of Water. So he's sort of similar. Like I think one day he will really hook into a script or an idea that just everything works, and that'll be his.
You might like Frankenstein. You haven't seen it, have you? Guillermo del Toro's one?
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet, but I'll see.
You might find that is really. I thought that was sensational.
Yeah, we'll see. Cause
Yeah.
We'll see. But Rian Johnson, anyway, he hasn't yet had his big moment. But yeah, both films were fine. I'll happily keep watching his movies. I need to watch Brothers Bloom. And yeah, I will happily keep watching Glass Onion. What are they called? Knives Out films as well.
Which is such a strange moniker. They should be called Benoit Blanc Mysteries.
No, they
right?
shouldn't, because he doesn't turn up till like halfway through this one, and
but
he's got a tiny role.
what
At
does
least
a
in Glass
Knives
Onion,
Out
he's
mystery
there from the
actually
beginning.
I know Rian Johnson just wanted them to be called Knives Out, Glass Onion, Wake Up Dead Man, and it's a studio that make him
okay.
put the
For the recognition.
yeah, he doesn't want that. He's frustrated by that. Sarah, what are your final thoughts?
Well, I'd like to say that in an interview that I read, Rian Johnson said that Wake Up Dead Man was the hardest thing he's ever made. And I think that's apparent. No. I don't know. I'm not like slamming the film. And as we've said at length, there were some great things about it. But I feel that the performances were more impressive than the script or the story. And I also feel it was woefully miscast. Funnily enough, I feel similar to... with Brick, I feel it was miscast, but it was a $450,000 film. You get your Joseph Gordon-Levitt, but other than that, you just take what you can get. I think if it were to be remade with people with charisma, actually.
Ouch.
No, but I mean it. I mean it. I don't know, stick your Rachel McAdam in there or somebody, I don't know, that then it would have more oomph, maybe not. I knew... We're allowed to put a little spoiler in, aren't we?
For what?
For Knives Out.
I mean, I feel like, we've warned people.
Yeah, great. So I knew the first time that I watched it, when Glenn Close's character, the little girl, whispered in her ear, I was like, oh, okay, she didn't say what she said.
Oh, totally.
It was so obvious that she said something horrible. And for some reason, this time round, I really... every time they talked about the harlot whore, I really wasn't... I didn't like that. And all I would say is the best moment in Knives Out was Martha saying, "These kids painting rocket ships all over the crypt." And I thought that was fabulous.
You didn't like when Andrew Scott saying they're going to put idiot versions of us on Netflix.
Oh, yeah.
That was nice, actually. And he was really good for what he was written, for what he was given. But nah.
Yeah, nah. All right. Well, thank you for listening to another episode of Cinema in Context. If you enjoy our podcast, then please share it with your film-loving friends. You can listen to Cinema in Context on SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and where all great podcasts can be found. You can follow us on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook, which are great places to let us know what you think of this episode, as well as give us suggestions for future films to discuss and compare. Look out for our next episode in a month's time, and until then,
Nora mai!